Yeah, how you doing, Abby?
We're on Research Forest Blvd in the Woodlands, Texas. The plan is to hook up with multiple groups today. So we've hooked up with the first group.
Good morning.
Maurizio Topotopini. Mo and his son are here. So we got to meet his grown son today. So this group left from the Trek store,
Yes,
a little east of us on Research Forest.
Weather on my phone, it said it was 100% rain chance. I looked outside and it's not raining.
That's Mike Barrera talking.
That looks like a Mo's son, right there.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's Mo's boy. Mo says he's trying to get some more distance. He's training for the MS-150 this year.
No heaters?
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the Woodlands, went up to the Alden Bridge Village Center, picked up the team. Mo and other groups joined up. We coordinated with them on Fishcreek there. Then we took Honea-Egypt. Mo pulled us all the way into Keenan. And it was just fast and furious all the way to Montgomery. At Taco Corner, we went into the forest. The other guys went the other way. We went up 149. And once we got out to Bethel, we came down through the forest on 1097. That's all off camera. We stopped at Taco, and the other guys had stopped there as well. We went back on Springbranch Road. The camera was on all the way back through Keenan Cutoff into the neighborhood. Out on Honea-Egypt Road, back to the Woodland. We filmed until we got back to Fishcreek Boulevard. I think you would love the clips we got for you. It was a very, very pleasant day. It was kind of colder than normal, but we braved it.
Ran out of batteries.
So that was John Z asking Mike Barrera whether he wasn't wearing heaters, because it says 8 Celsius, 40 something. It feels like 35, 37 Fahrenheit. It feels colder than the actual temperature. This is very unusual for us. Usually Mike Barrera wears a lot of full tights because he runs cold, but he said this is Flandrian weather. So the Belgians will be proud. So that's why John asked no heaters today. So Mo is here with his boy. We talked about it in the little prologue there, but he said they're doing distance because his boy is going to participate in the upcoming MS-150. So Abby suggested that we hook up with the group that he was riding with that was leaving from Trek. That's what you see here. We're also the plan is to go to the Kroger, which is about 5 kilometers from here, to pick up another group at 2978 and 1488 on that corner. You will see us lounging around, because what ends up happening, we got our wires crossed. Mo and his guys continue to ride. They're in the distance there. They rode up front and they didn't go in the parking lot, so we thought, oh, well, are we going to stop or not? Well, he was going to do an extra loop and come back to the meeting because those guys were leaving at 8. He didn't want to stop at all, but we were not aware of it. So we got it all sorted, but you'll see it unfold. But it ended up being just a big group from here to Taco Corner, and then once we got there, everybody kind of split and continued with whatever their original plans were. Some people did not go as far as we were going. We were doing about 4 hours, about 80 miles. Yeah, it's yellow. It's a 3-way. We decided, it's too late to stop, so we're just rolling. So we'll let everybody know we're going. I'm sitting next to Paul right here. So Paul films this into Honea, and then on the way back, I'll mount the camera on the bike. We got some good coverage today. I don't know this rider on this yellow bike on the right.
The camera is rolling, by the way.
crazy because I wanted to ride. Logistics.
I was telling Paul, just had a crazy busy week.
Ride it all.
And he said he didn't ride it all the whole week, so I only rode one day. So you got to pay attention to your fitness. That's Pedro behind Paul there.
Yep.
That's I think that's Jennifer on the right with a flashing light. So the group is going to swell because we're going to hook up with another group as we head out. This is Research Forest Blvd. We're leaving the Woodlands, Texas, going into Honea-Egypt. A beautiful Saturday morning, very cold. It is not it does not feel like 7 Celsius, which is about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels more like 38, 39. It feels colder than it is. It did not warm up much on this day. We barely broke 10 Celsius for the whole day. Very unusual. We got a front that came in. And as I speak, in 2 or 3 days, we're going to be around 30 Celsius again. So, yeah. You don't like the weather in Southeast Texas? Just wait a few minutes. That's the joke around here. That's Laura on the right there, next to Mike Barrera in the stealthy black silhouette outfit. And that's Abby in the front there with the blue jersey. I'm not sure who's next to him. I'll see him in a little bit. It ended up being a very nice ride. So once we got to Honea, I told the guys that were in our group, I said, we're going to drop the pace and we're going to go through the forest. Because we just flew into Honea, and you will see that unfold. Went a lot faster than our pace. Moore ended up pulling me into the top group on 2854 because I got gapped. And I really had no intention of digging too deep because we were riding long today, you know, and the way my training has been going, I didn't want to go in the red. But he was a big help. He got me back to the group, and then he went back and got other people. So there's a little bit of a lip right there. You can see the camera shook. So for us big guys, when we stand, it actually feels easier to get the gear rolling, and then we sit. So you have to train like that, so your body gets used to those jumps. If that's how you're riding, you know. So I had mentioned to Paul, we're standing in the parking lot, that I thought that this jersey was warmer than the Pro Team Thermal. It's not. I run hot. The arms are not as insulated, for one thing. The fabric is just a little lighter. So it's a gray area. It's close, but not quite as warm. So I'm wearing it with the full thermal base layer. So I've got 2 layers on, and it's perfect for this temperature for this day. And I've confirmed it by walking outside before we left, just to make sure. So I did not need a gilet today. But Paul needed a gilet because he runs colder than I am, than I do. So you got to figure out what works for you and what layers you need. We're going to go, the light changes, the left turn goes yellow and red, but we're already in the intersection, so we're going. That's Abby right here in the blue, Mike Barrera on the right. There's Loretta. I tried to find her name in Spanish, but all they have online is like how you pronounce it in Spanish. They don't have a different spelling. But she said that there were writers that used to call her Loretta, you know, Spanish writers. Laura's looking slick as usual. Purple shoes matching the purple trim on that jersey. I'm trying a new helmet on this ride. It's made by HJC. The Israel Nation team rides with it. That's Kenny on the right here.
Kenny.
How are you, Paul?
How are you, man?
I'm good.
Yeah, all right.
So we
Yeah,
turn right. This is
somewhere
2978. Fishcreek, Honea-Egypt, Sandera, you name it. It's got 3 names depending on where you are. That's the parking lot on the right that we're supposed to go into. Well, more of them continue riding, so we don't turn in there. And we're thinking, oh, are we stopping or aren't we stopping? And you will see it unfold. So I'm pointing that we're going in there, but then they keep riding. That's why we're not stopping. So I said, okay, I guess we're riding. So I don't know. There are riders in there. There's a bunch of riders in there. They're supposed to leave at 8. It is now 7:53 Central Standard Time. Oh, is it daylight time? It's daylight time. Central Daylight Time. They just moved the clock forward. So we're in daylight time. No more time changes going forward. So it's going to be our permanent time. So I'm looking back because we're gonna turn. Cause we're gonna go back.
We might as well hook up with that group up there.
Where's the other group? Hey,
They're turning there. They're turning the corner.
better go back. Yeah, let's go back.
So we're gonna go back. I'm gonna edit for time here because they're hung around on the highway.
Peter is not staying with us, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter's up ahead with more than them, but they intend to go and turn right and do another loop and come back to the same spot, but we're not aware of that. So we turn around here and we start to go back, and then we're going to see some riders coming, and we think, oh, okay, that's the group from the lot. That's the parking lot they're in, the Kroger parking lot. And so we see riders coming. You see the lights flashing, so I turn again. But it turns out it's not that group. It's stragglers off of our group. They had gone in the parking lot. This is Darren. They had gone in the parking lot and said, hey, these guys are still getting dressed. That's Matt. Matt said, they don't leave till 8. Do we want to hang around?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just a few minutes. So, we're like, it's always better to ride with a group if you can because it pushes you and will help you improve all around. Handling, fitness, everything. So it's a good thing. Plus, it's a good socialization. You get to socialize with people. So we're going to wait. I'm up ahead with those guys. Paul's back here. He stops. I'm not aware. I know he's not with me. And those guys are like, well, those guys were still getting ready. We don't want to hang around. It's only a few minutes till 8. I'm thinking,
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, let's go. I know.
Yeah, we're supposed to turn in there, but when more and them went straight, we're not aware that they were going to do a loop to the right and come back. So we thought, oh, are we stopping? Aren't we stopping? So this is Mike here, and I believe
the original plan was to pick that group up. Yeah.
What time is it?
I think it's 5 minutes now. I think Mo's group kind of messed it up because they kept going and then people splintered the kept going.
And they're currently leaving at 8.
So I'm up ahead, but I'm going to turn around. Look at my watts to 0. I'm turning around right now. I'm coming back.
How big a group is it back there? Did you see?
It's got Abby.
Oh.
Probably.
Terry showed up.
So they're waiting there,
Sophia,
right? Abby
the
is back there?
There's a big group there.
Okay.
That's where the Jay-Z, Sophia.
I would suspect that is Eldred up there?
Yeah.
I bet you he's going to wait.
I thought you guys were turning back. Let's go
Yeah,
back.
we were turning back, and then he did a U-turn. I was like, okay.
And then I saw those guys. I didn't know there was a bigger group.
So I come back. This is after I've come back. The group has now exited the lot. It is 8:04 a.m. So they're a little, about 4 minutes after that start time, which is, it's all right. It's reasonable. And Abby had put this together. He had posted on the board that, hey, we're leaving at 7:30. We're going to ride to you guys at 7:40. And then we're going to go pick up another group at this lot. So we had discussed it, and that was the original plan. But when more and them rode by, we thought, oh, are we stopping? Are we not stopping? It threw things off a little bit. You heard Mike mention that. But no harm, no foul. Mo is behind us. We're not aware at this point because he'd gone up ahead, turned right, gone through the neighborhood to the right, and gone back to 1488. He did an extra loop. He doesn't like to stop, so he just kept moving. You're doing more work, you get more Ks in. He just wants to keep the effort up. So you would hear him come from behind. Mike would be like, I thought you were up ahead. Then he would tell us, no, I did an extra loop. So what he did was he either turned here or on the next street and went right and then went back south and came back around. Just an extra loop. So we stopped for the light, and this is when we will hear him.
Have you ever ridden with friends of friends?
So the group that we waited for is called Friends of Friends. Mike Barrera mentioned, he said, friends dropping friends. Because that's Mo.
Which side we want to run?
Mike said, I thought you were ahead. Let Mo, you see Mo? He said, I went ahead. I did a loop. Yeah, he did a loop to the right. He did an extra loop. He went around. Maurizio.
This guy.
Hey, Mom, why don't you do?
You went around and came back.
Yeah, we wanted you to go away on purpose.
Mike Barrera said, that's funny. Mo did an extra loop.
One of those?
Yeah.
Mo is a bundle of energy and a breath of fresh air. So we're together, we're rolling, we're going to be turning left in less than a kilometer, about 1,000 meters.
I said we block right here, let Mo roll up.
Let Mo roll out the front. So I'm checking for cars.
Yeah.
So that's Terry talking. She's riding with Friends of Friends today. She rides with us also. And that's his Kenny right here. So Mo went straight. So I'm telling him we're turning here. He thought we're going to take Fishcreek. He's coming. He's going to turn. He's in the distance and turning around. Then he's like, he's going to say, that's not a good idea. He doesn't like to bring a big group on this road. But we didn't know the group was going to be this big when I put the route out. But, you know, it ended up working out. It's early enough. We didn't have too many hassles.
I know.
Matter of fact, there's dirty air coming off him.
You hear what Mike said? Mo doesn't have any draft when you're behind him. I end up on his wheel for a while. And thankfully, what's his name? Peter comes up and alongside, I let him slip in front of me. Because when you're following Mo, you got to stay low.
How are you doing this morning?
How are you?
That's
I'm
Terry.
good.
So when you're following Mo, you got to stay low because he gets very low.
Have
He
you
wraps
ever
himself
this
over that
morning?
bike.
Well, when I didn't see you guys in the group, I was like, here they go. And then I got mad at myself for not just going to Walgreens.
All right. Thank you.
So we're lining up. We're going single file. Paul's going to flip the camera in a bit because I was reviewing the clips earlier. I think he does it here somewhere. You will get a feel for how big this group is. That's why Mo didn't really want us to take this road. He wanted us to get on Fishcreek where we can just take the whole lane and have another lane available. There was a rider in the distance.
Slow down.
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm behind Mo. I believe I end up getting on Mo's wheel. I don't know. I think Kenny must be pulling right now. See the group? It's huge. Got a lot of people back there. And you'll see when the splits occur later on. There's a lot of riders. I'm glad he took this shot. This gave us a good idea. I had no idea who were back there, how big the group was. I find out later as people come around, as the ride evolves. So Mo had wanted us to do Fishcreek when the group is this big, because you end up, you have to take the lane. There's just too many of us. And later in the ride, when we get on 2854, some local village idiots out there start blowing their horns and stuff. You will see how we just ignore them because we're too busy riding. And when you're riding and drivers are acting rude, only look to make sure there's no danger when they're blowing their horns, angry horns or whatever. Just look to make sure there's no danger. But do not flip or gesture or whatever. Just let it go. If they don't hit you, you're good. But there's no point in having a conversation with somebody who is dumb, because we're not going to be able to tell who the genius is. So just ignore it, de-escalate it, and you will see how it evolves. We have one car, a guy was yelling something out of the car. I'm like, I don't know where he grew up, maybe in a barn or something. But you don't drive by and yell at people out of your car angrily. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Who are you? Are we on your private property? No. So yeah. There's no reason, because they have no authority. So you don't need to respond. You just gotta look, make sure you're not in danger, and then you go about your business, which is what they should do. It's just go about their business. And you will see most drivers do. But those are the ones that our peace officers have to deal with, bless their heart, deal with these small-minded individuals, people that have no purpose. That's usually what happens. Because if you leave home with a purpose, you don't go around bothering people en route. You headed somewhere. You got a purpose. You focused. People that ain't got nothing going on in their lives, they have no life, so they want to look for things. So don't encourage that. Just ignore it. You will see. If somebody blows their horn, I just glance to make sure there is no danger, and I just keep doing what I'm doing. And if they try to do something out of the ordinary, I will get out of the way, get their particulars, the license plate or whatever, and file a complaint. That's it. That's the way you handle it. Let the system teach them. So we're rolling here. Mo is pulling. I'm on Mo's wheel, which is not the best spot to be because Mo rolls himself. So I think I spend most of my time low on the drops, low on the hoods or in the drops. To at least maximize a little bit of the draft. Mo gets very aero.
Yeah.
The biggest plus about following Mo is that you can ride so smoothly. He is so smooth. I don't feel any hesitation when I'm on his wheel. You can really get a nice rhythm going. This is when Peter will go up. And I see him out of the corner of my eyes, and I thankfully welcome him to get on Mo's wheel because he's a little taller than Mo, so I got a better draft after that. He comes up alongside, and I will wave him up. Tell him, come on in. Once I see him out of the corner of my eye, I say, go ahead and get in. I don't know if you see my hand move. I don't know if the camera gets that. But in a little bit, Peter will get in the line because I tell him to get in. Paul thought that Peter was going up to say something to Mo. I think this is where I wave him in. He's in the line now. I'll go ahead and tell him to get in because I'd much rather have him in front of me. He's a little taller, And he's fairly smooth, too. So it actually improved my situation. I didn't have to stay so low. Let's put it. Look at Mo. I don't know if you can tell. Look how low he is. There he is. I mean, it's like he folds himself over that bike. But he's very easy to follow, though. He is smooth, man. I get real close. The three of us, we're tight up there. We're not messing around. You know, if Peter hadn't come, I would have just stayed on Mo's wheel. You know, you at least you're doing the effort. You're not reacting. You're not way back in the group reacting to stuff. So, yeah. It felt hard on this stretch. I don't care what that heart rate says. It says sweet spot. I don't care. I know it just felt like I was working. And maybe it depends on it probably based on the way my week went, and we're riding with a very fast bunch here, you know. But it just felt fast. So I just resigned myself to doing the work. It starts in your head. You usually quit in your head first. So I just told myself, we're doing this. We're working here. That was it. Because I like this road. This is one of Mike Barrera's favorite roads in either direction. That's a long group back there. There's more people than the camera can even pick up. I didn't realize the group was this big, but I'm glad we waited to hook up. It was nice. We got that many people moving. These people need to know that we're serious about that. We don't fall from Mars. We live here, we play here, we work here. Cyclists are from here. We don't come from somewhere else on the weekends to show up and ride. We're here. We're your neighbors, co-workers, you know, business associate, doctors, whatever you call it. Everybody from different walks of life ride bikes. Keeps it very interesting. What I like about this group, since I've been in this area, you know, since coming back and riding with these guys, we don't talk shop. We come in and hi, let's go ride. And nobody was asking, oh, where do you work? This and that. We don't run into that often. And I don't know, it's because I guess people are too busy riding. Yeah, I like that. You know, no business cards, no job history, just hi, how you doing? I'm a cyclist. How far are we going today? Let's do this. You know, I'm sure they talk about it sometimes, you know, when the people get tired, but I'm just saying generally, yeah. People say good morning and, you know, nice bike, let's go. Like Laura was complimenting me on my helmet. She said, I need to get one like that because it's called chameleon. It's like a purple, black, it changes colors. And she's like, that would go well with what I'm wearing. Laura has a good eye. So does Paulie Longa. So it's like, we talked a little bit about that, and I told her, yeah, I just got them, and I needed another dark helmet because I have a bunch of white helmets. I try to just do black and white because, you know, it's like I've had orange and all the other colors, but I wasn't wearing them that much. So a lot of times I'll just put them on eBay. You give it to somebody gets it because, you know, I use them for a review and they sit around. They're still relatively new, in good condition. Because I always cover my head, so there's not much perspiration into my helmet. They last a lot longer that way, I believe. In the summer, I wear something lighter. Of course, it's a cold day. Everybody's got some kind of head cover. That's the thing with these kind of days. Your hands, feet, your ears, you need to cover that. Even if you just use a headband or something and cover your ears, makes a big difference. At some part during this ride, I had to push up my ear cover because it's a flap built into the hat I'm wearing. You can just push it up. I was getting hot. So all through here, I felt like I was working. I welcomed it, you know. Since I did not have a chance to ride as much during the week, I was looking forward to this ride very enthusiastically. That's what you need. So it's better to come in a little under. Mike Barrera and I talked about it on Sunday's ride. We rode together Sunday as well. Just easier, steadier. And we talked about it, you know, it's better to come in a little under than overtrain. So if you miss a few training sessions, don't beat yourself up about it. You know, you're playing and then life happens. And then you just wait, you know, when you get a trying to say you miss a few sessions during the week. Just don't go gung-ho on the weekend. See how you feel and save it for the last stretch if you're going to push, you know. That way at least you know you will last. I stand up because this is like a 5% thing. I think it gets to like 5%. And most keeping it very steady, actually. He's just riding. He's been pulling us the whole way, pretty much. So he kept it very steady. It's got a nice blue Trek here. You know, a few spots on this road a little bit chopped up. If you read them right, it's not that big a deal. The road has character, like an old friend. Honea-Egypt. We're headed north. And so far, the ride has been civilized. I think Mo wants to get us off this road ASAP. Yeah, it's early enough, but still, it's such a big group for such a narrow road. The good thing is this road is not heavily traveled. Sometimes when I do have the time, I'll come out on this road during the week, and this is the same thing early in the morning on a busy weekday. There's not a whole lot going on in this direction. There are communities off to the side that you go about at people's homes and so forth, but there's not a whole lot of industry out here. You see, Mo is still pulling. Peter's on his wheel. I'm on Peter's wheel. I drink before I get on the bike. I take a gel before I get on the bike just to get it in my system. Then we ride to the ride. So well into the 2-hour mark, I don't need to do anything. Meaning 2 hours after we hook up with them. Especially on a cold day like this, I don't drink as much as when it's warm. I still drink, but not as much. So I have one bottle on the bicycle. So let's car back to let people know, don't pull off right now, you know. So that's Laura in front of, this is Jonathan, I believe, and then Terry. So we're just riding here. I mean, you feel the work and you feel like you're working, and it's steady. Mo kept it nice and steady and very civilized. Up until we get to Rabon Chapel, the Rabon Chapel Hill, it was very civilized. Once you get there, it gets a little punchy. I'm not sure where Frank is going. She just said car back. Then he pulls out in the lane. This is not the time to chat. Nada is at the road to chat. Find a spot and slot in. Somebody says car back. There's a car coming around. I think it's a truck. Yeah, he's a truck coming around. You know, you don't need to be sitting out there. You know, it's like, it's time to work. That'll come by and say hello. Oh, man. This is a drag. This is a false flat, this whole stretch. And then we're getting near Leah Drive where it will ramp up to almost 3%. It's short, but punchy. Yeah, Moore keeps it steady. He does not change the pace much. So I'm doing 400 to 600 watts. Not everybody has to do that. The lighter riders like Terry in front here, she might be doing 250, maybe 300 tops in that stretch. Everybody puts out different watts. The lighter riders don't need to put out that many watts to get up these grades. So that's why big guys that work hard get used to putting out 600, 700, 900, 1,000 watts. And then smaller riders who never do that on a flat road that just can't generate that kind of wattage, That's why they're at a disadvantage in that terrain, because they've never had to do that. You know, they can climb all day, 250, 300 watts, and they can talk. Whereas we're doing 5 something to 6 or whatever. We can't hold that comfortably as long. So the power to weight ratio is a factor. And don't worry about it to the point where you start fasting and doing weird stuff. Oh, I want to lose weight. Well, you might lose power. You might be unhealthy. Eat well, exercise consistently. Your body will settle where you need to be for you. And then you play to your strengths. Let the little guys pound the hills. But when they try to rest on the downhill, then you force the pace. You know, but if you're on an alpine climb, you're not going to be able to keep up with these guys for 10 miles. You know, you're not going to be putting out 450, 500 watts for 10 miles. It's not going to happen. So you got to let them go. That's why you see the sprinters in the big stage races that form the gruppetto and they just ride in and try to stay under the time limit. We've arrived in Honea. This is 2854. As we get here, the light will change. We're going to be turning right on Rabon Chapel Road. This is 2854. We're getting off of it. This is a quieter road. Cuts through some neighborhoods. More cycling friendly. I don't like that highway. It's okay. But you got people zooming by you at high speeds and you're on a narrow shoulder. This is more scenic. More relaxing. A lot of riders still use that highway. I mean, we use it from time to time.
No draft up there.
I'm telling Paul, I wasn't getting any draft up there. That's Abby. Abby is retired, so he gets a lot of Ks in during the week. Does a lot of big rides during the week. That's Kenny on my wheel. On this stretch, I was looking for a gear. It's like one was too easy, one was too high. It's like I needed maybe a 19 and a half cog or something. I go to my 17, it felt too big. I go to my 19, it felt too small. So I needed a 19.5 2 cog. Or maybe an 18. I'm just being funny, but that's what it feels like sometimes. You shift up and okay, then you shift then you fanning it too much. So depending on how I feel, most times I'll just ride the bigger one at a lower cadence.
It's the other pedal.
I like the way that training jersey fits my body. It's nice and tight. I didn't feel any of that stuff in my pocket the entire ride. It's like they were suspended. They're in suspended animation. Somebody forced the pace. You see the watts go up? The road is going up slightly. It says 1%, maybe 1 to 2 what we're pushing. See how I just soft pedal, then I stop pedaling. I'm trying to stay as smooth as possible for the rider following me. In this case, it's Paulie Longa. There is no reason to pedal and act like it's an emergency and just suddenly just soft pedal and then drift. Catch a little bit of wind to slow you down. That's why you see the movement If you see Laura to the right of that rider, Frank. She's using that wind to keep the distance when he slows down a little bit. Plus, she can see around him like that. So there's a lot going on. You're not just following. You know, you're making little minute corrections to your line and reading the road. That's why cycling is not boring. There's a lot we're dealing with mentally, physically. Before you know it, the kilometers just pass by. That's why we can ride 6 hours and not be bored. Besides the fact that we love what we're doing. There's a lot of stimulation to your mind. It says 9C. It didn't feel that warm to us. Well, we're coming home hours later. It felt cold. We still had our ears covered. That's Abby. I gave him a thumbs up. He always says that, my brother from another mother. Yeah, Paul is from the Republic of the Congo. It used to be, I think, Zaire a long time ago. That's what Abby's talking about. Kinshasa used to be the capital. Yeah, Kinshasa was the capital of Zaire when it was one united country. Now they've split.
Imagine some parts of Congo you depressed. It will make the woodlands look like.
I just want to experience the dancing.
This is the intersection we approach before we get to that hill in about a kilometer. Is that Laura? Is that Laura? Laura's not pulling. That's what she said. She said, you need to say that to Mo. He told Laura, have mercy. Abby always says, have mercy.
You need to say that to Mo.
He always says, have mercy. Then he goes to the front and lifts the pace. We were chatting about it on the channel board with one of our subscribers. I was chatting with him. I said, yeah, Abby always says that have mercy stuff. And then he goes to the front and lifts the pace. And then Mike Barrera always says, no mercy. Mike Barrera said, no mercy. This is Flandrian time. There's a lot of big races. On this day was Milan-San Remo. Then we have the Tour of Flanders coming up. There's a lot of big races coming up on the continent, the other side of the pond. I kind of expected stuff to get crazy on this climb, so you would see me just not do too much work, and I would get out of camera. I would just sit behind Paul. I just let things happen because I expected them to get a little crazy. I didn't realize the group was as big as it was. I would see a lot of riders come around, but then even after I drift out of camera range, there's still a lot of riders behind me. I'm like, okay, it's a good sized group. People are out of the saddle, so I figured I'd stay around 500 watts. That was my plan. I wasn't looking at the watts, but it's just by feel. You don't want to get too excited because, you know, we're doing 4 hours today. These guys not going that far as we are. So we didn't end up going as hard as I expected on that climb. So right now I'm coasting. I'm probably on Paul's right. And this is a shorter bump than the last one. The wind was out here in both directions today. We did not get any tailwind. This is why we picked these roads. You can see we've had a few cars, had a truck pass, whatever. But for the most part, this is what we experience in the morning. That's another reason we like to go early. Our neighbors are still sleeping. We turn on this corner here. There's a car up, so we let people know because you don't want anybody turning wide in that corner. Look at my watts, 600 and some watts. I'm trying to just keep things very conservative because I know that when we get the mill route, there's a lot more to do there. You can't get too excited. And I don't want to work very hard. We've got a long day. We don't know what these guys are doing. We don't ride this fast into Honea on our long rides. So my thing was, I'm just going to sit in on these guys, let them do their work. Terry has 2 lights. Oh, the one on the bottom is that Garmin, like, what's his name? Abby has. The Garmin Varia, the radar system. And then she has an additional light on top. That's Mike Barrera on the right there. That's how you roam the pack. You see, he's not in the wind. He's using the line to move up. There's a gap right here. So Paul's going to close it. This is the top third of the peloton. There's a bunch of riders behind us. You will see there will be a split in about a kilometer when we turn on Mill Route. I have no intention of digging into my legs for this ride, so you will see me just sit. There's a rider who lets a gap open. I just sit on her wheel. And she didn't do it on purpose. They're just going so fast she couldn't lift the pace anymore. But we still ended up catching back. We're approaching a turn for Mill Route, and what we check for is to make sure there's nothing behind, of course. Mo's waving us up. Nothing behind, nothing in front. And once we turn, all hell's gonna break loose because the guys at the front are gonna force the pace knowing that you have to work. So those few riders that have turned already are gonna force the pace. And this is when you must tell yourself, I gotta work. And what happens here is like, this is too much of a gap. So the power's off, but they're gonna go again. Somebody else gonna go again. So even though it was hard, I'm right at sweet spot. I don't want to work much harder than that. So you have to know what you're doing. Now, the lady in front of me created this situation. Had I been in a more aggressive move, I wouldn't have let it happen. But this is where we start getting gapped. And that's too big a gap. I'm not going to try to close it. I'm just going to ride through for a bit. I know Paul is on my wheel, so we'll just ride through. I'm going to move over. Now, there is a rider who's going to come and act like she's going to, this rider here, she's not going to make it. You would see, we'll see her in a little bit. That's too much energy and it's too much of a gap. Those guys, you're not going to catch them. The gap was too big. That's Laura on the left. So we all got kind of left out. We missed the cut, basically. And that's okay. If you missed the cut, like you saw what happened, by the time I realized there was a gap, it was too big. I didn't want to work that hard. So I'm sitting on the same rider's wheel because those guys rode up. She once again should let the gap open again. It's not her fault. I personally did not want to work as hard as those guys were working to get back up to the group that you see the light flashing. They're not that far ahead. They're right there. They're trying to catch up. What ends up happening is Mo's going to come by and bring a steadier train, and then we're going to jump on that and we'll catch them before the turn. And the reason I'm riding like this is 2 reasons. I haven't been doing this kind of riding. I have not been training much. I've been busy with work. I rode once this week. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I don't dig too deep. You've got to use your head. So I'm right in the middle of zone 4 for me right now. And yeah, more comes with a train. I'm gonna lift my pace. That's John. John came by, he said good morning. And so I realized, well, these are the guys we need to ride with to get up there. So right there, I lift my pace to make sure I stay in the line. There's the rider on the right that I said wasn't going to make it. She did not make it. She spent a lot of energy, but she tried. That's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. She was trying to get up there. They didn't make it. She and that guy in the red. Mo's going to pull us back to that group. And as soon as we connect, I will move on the left to move up in the line because they went so hard that they had to sit up. They could not sustain it. So when he was pulling here, they had sat up because they needed to catch their breath. So by the time we get to the corner, it's probably 3 or 4 of them turn earlier. Right here, I'll go ahead and move up because I'm not going to get caught behind this gap again. This is the same rider here. So I'll go ahead and move by, and Paul sees it and comes on my wheel. I want to stay with riders who are going to hold the gap. So we have a split. This is like group 2 on the road. Group 1 is right up the road and by ready to turn right. We're going to catch them after we turn right. This is where you can take a drink, you catch your breath, get ready. Everybody points right. I know we're going right. I'm just using the free speed. This is a descent, a light descent, slight descent. And once you turn, you got to get that gear rolling. You got to be in the right gear. I'm going to stand. Got to be ready to work. I believe we're all together at this point. Once we turn, we're caught up to them. There's a lot of mud and stuff on the shoulder. So we're using the lane here for 2 reasons. It's a lot of crap on the shoulder. You only want to ride the shoulder if it's safe. So we're all back together. I was drifting to the right. Paul told me to watch out. I knew he was there, but he didn't know how far I was going to drift because he was also using the right side to slow down. So he wanted to make sure that I knew he was there. This is not where you want to be fanning a very light gear. You want to push here. This is where these, you see how that guy passed by his business? That guy passed by his business? That's what I'm talking about. This other moron wants to act like he owns the road. So he's blowing, and we just ignored him. Then someone else started yelling. I don't know if he's already passed. Right there. He's yelling out of his car like that's supposed to do what? That's the stuff I'm talking about. That's why they get shot. That's why people run into them, but then they say road rage. When you go out into society and just mess with people you don't know, you're creating a hazard for yourself. This is where we pull away from Paul. He decided, I'm going to back off. Somebody's twisted the screw at the front. And right around that curve, the group split again after we get around that curve. And Mo ended up pulling me back to the front group. But what I was trying to say is, this is after we've left Taco, we've gone through the forest, we're going back, we through Old Montgomery here, we're going to miss. Somebody's going to turn too early, and they're going to take us down a dead end road. We'll flip around. But what I was saying is, when you go out, go about your business.
That's fine. It'll link back. Just take the next left.
They were supposed to go to the second street to turn right. They turned early. I said, take the next left, but they didn't hear me. And they continue to go straight, where it dead ends when you go straight. Not all these roads go back across. But we'll just do a U-turn and come back. So what I'm saying is, when you go out in the world, don't mess with people. You don't know what's going on with that person you mess with. That might be a nut. You don't know. And that's what I'm talking about. So when you read about somebody that got shot or this and that, sometimes they bring it upon themselves. You go into the store, you're going wherever, go about your business. It's a public road. It's a public utility. Why are you blowing your horn at somebody else? They're using the road that's made for all of us. You know, so people don't give it much thought. They just think, oh, doing something like that guy yelling out of the car. What if somebody takes offense to that and shoots into your car? Then what? You know, and that's what happens. You know, everybody in this state here packing. I don't bother anybody. I go about my business. I keep my head down. I keep low key. I'm too busy. I ain't got time for nonsense. So we're going too far. I just let it alone.
Where are you guys taking us? Where are you guys taking us? You turned too early, and you should have taken that first left.
Yeah, so this dead ends. Those streets don't go through.
That does not connect.
Yeah, so we're gonna turn
Hey
around.
guys, you need to turn around.
So we're in downtown Montgomery. This is a serious hill, and I'm in a big gear, and I'm trying to get started on the hill. I think it's at least, let's see what the percentage. No, it's minus 14. It's about
a hill,
5%. I clipped in.
This is a steep climb.
I clipped in, and I'm in a big gear.
To be in that gear?
Yeah, I'm in a big gear.
I'm in like a 53, 15, or
like
16 or something like that.
Yeah, they should have turned at the first street up there.
I hear you saying that, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
I
Pedro.
said, we turned early, so we needed to
5%
turn quickly
climb. That's about right.
To get
Yeah.
back to Caroline. Caroline is the one that hits the park.
Yeah, they turned one street earlier, and so they needed to zig and zag.
We got
but
to check
we're
out
good.
downtown Montgomery. Huh?
This is downtown Montgomery. People's, single family homes.
Nah.
Single family homes. So
Well, we should have taken the first street to get back to Caroline because we turned early.
yeah.
Yeah, Caroline is the second one from the main
So I got
road.
the camera mounted. What you're hearing is the road is very uneven here,
Take
and
the
the
right turn
vibration.
up there.
That's what you're hearing. So we're gonna turn right and go to Caroline. That's gonna take us Old Plantersville Road. We do our best to avoid competing with cars. So we look for very quiet ways to get back home. And that's what really is surprising. What drivers don't know. We don't want to be bothered when we get on our bike. We just want to go ride our bike. So just let us
So
be.
that's Caroline. That's the second street. We turned early and we didn't have to do a left. I just saw a squirrel.
So when I'm riding, I try not to impede anybody. I'm always aware of what the other people are doing. I try not to be that guy, So as a result, I don't have problems when I get on my bike. I don't bother anybody, and for the most part, people leave me alone. That's the way it should be. Live and let live. So we're on Caroline now. This is the official street we should have been on. It's going to take us to a park right up here.
I think some of them have the old globe lights and everything.
Yeah, Mike Barrera is talking about just how this neighborhood's laid out. Yeah, I mean, look at the houses. Very simple.
Much better.
This is
Neat.
quieter, not
Going
competing.
through that campus.
Yeah. He's saying that he likes
Go straight
going back
across,
this
gentlemen.
way.
Let's go straight across.
Yeah. We like to go straight across. It's just
Minimize
quiet.
our competition with cars. Remember Pedro Delgado? That boy, man, he used to just empty the tank.
We were talking about the
Spaniards.
famous riders, the Spaniards of the Tour de France.
He still couldn't climb as good as Federico Bahamontes though.
Or Louis O'Connor.
Louis O'Connor.
He gave Marks a hell of a time.
Yeah,
Even Marks admitted in the interview, he said, Louis O'Connor. He mentioned, they said, who was the person you're most concerned about? He said, Louis O'Connor.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, he said, but I'm carrying 20 more kilos than he is. So.
Louis O'Connor.
Yeah, Louis O'Connor gave him hell.
Yeah, he used to give Anquetil hell in the mountains. Yeah, Louis O'Connor.
Small guy with a big heart.
We're talking about the
Boys,
golden
man.
years of the Tour de
Clear left,
France.
clear right.
At this point, we're on Old Plantersville Road,
Put
getting
this
near
camera on,
Springbranch
film our
Road.
way back. There we go. Yeah.
So we're headed west towards Springbranch Road. This guy on the right, his name is Pedro. We have two Pedros here. He latched onto us. He was riding with the other guys and fell off the pace. And when we came by in 1097, he's got on the back of our group. So Paul's on the left here, Laura's on the right. That's Matt in front of Laura in the chartreuse jersey. Clement Champousson is in the red. I think we're going single file here. The pace is picking up. And Mike Barrera was feeling his oath to this. He said it's Flandrian weather. So he was making the Belgians proud. So he did a lot of pulling. We got it on film. He pulled us into town. Lots of accelerations. You guys will see that. The right about here, it goes up to like 3 to 4% in a just, it's a short little stint right there. Then it levels off as we approach the curve. There's a car behind us, but the driver's very patient. Both Paul and I can see him because we both have mirrors on the end of our bars. I had waved this guy up so he could be on camera, Pedro in front of me. So I didn't want him to feel unwelcome, you know. He's a new rider riding with us. We just happened to pick up on the highway from the other group who were with. They graded these corners for more traction. Personally, I think it was unnecessary. People just need to slow down when it's wet. The curves are not that drastic, but yeah, should have got their reasons. This is Springbranch Road. We're getting off of Old Plantersville Road. We're going to head south on Springbranch Road. I'm trying to keep this guy in front of me, but he keeps lagging off the wheel. So I'm watching him. In a few kilometers, I'm just going to ride up.
Cars back.
I'll let them know cars back so they can close it up a bit so they can go around us. And the wind changed. The wind seemed to be hitting us even on the way back here. And it just seemed like it didn't warm up much. It says 11 C, but it feels like 7 or 8 Celsius. It feels like 43 thereabouts, 43 to 45. It doesn't feel like we're over 50. And 11 Celsius is like 51, 52 Fahrenheit, something like that. It just stayed cold. And we didn't get the sun with this low cloud, low cloud cover. It's a little bump right here, like a sprinkler's bump. That's why Paul is standing to keep the gear rolling. Pedro stands here too. I think Mike Barrera has pulled off the front or something. He's waving at the cows. We got longhorns on the left there. I don't know if you can see them. The camera doesn't do them justice. There's a bunch of longhorns. He's waving at them. Nowadays, I mostly eat plants. So, you know, I always bug the cows. All right, we don't eat beef, or we only eat chicken, you know, like Chick-fil-A always says eat more chicken, that kind of stuff. They use a cow for the advertisement. I'm sure the cows appreciate it. So in a little while, Pedro's going to keep getting gapped, and I'm going to go around him. So we have 2 Pedros in the group today. That's why we're talking earlier about Pedro Delgado, the Spaniard, and Luis Ocana, Federico Bahamontes, all those climbers. This is Matt White. I remember Matt from his shoes. I like the colors on his shoes that pop. That blue and those, it looked like coral color. It's very visible from the back. We're moving here. We're not going downwind. We're being buffeted by the wind. And we're moving at a good clip. I'm right at the top of zone 2 on this stretch. I've gone around Pedro because he kept leaving the gap. Darren is on my wheel. I don't know if he got on my wheel or got behind Pedro, but right now we're moving. So at this point, Paul and I have been riding for about 4 hours. The group has been together for almost 3.5 hours. This is the other Pedro. He's pulled off the front. I think he's going to pull off the pace or fall off the pace here, somewhere here. Mike Barrera looks like he's pulled off the front. He was pulling. Pace is nice and high. We're going downhill here. A slight downhill. So the speeds are going to pick up. Trying to see who's pulling. Oh, that's Jonathan. Jonathan is pulling, and John Mulberg's on his wheel. Laura's on John's wheel. Paulie Lunga is on Laura's wheel. This is Matt White, and I'm on Matt's wheel. So Darren's probably on my wheel, and I believe Mike Barrera is at the back, kind of watching everything. I'm not sure at this point if the 2 Pedros are still on this pace. So even when we split up, we end up regrouping at periodic spots. You know, like we get outside the neighborhood, we'll wait at Honea-Egypt to regroup. Or we might wait at 149 and Keenan cut off, you know. So we still get to do our work, but then we back off the pace so the group can get back together. This is a grade here. And Mike Barrera kept surging, so he's going to pick up the pace here. He's in a big gear. He's going to go to the front. He's going to lift the pace. Whenever I would see him come doing that, I would just shift up a cog, so I don't have to change my rhythm too much. I stay in the mid 90s as far as cadence. There's a 2% climb. We're doing what? 21, 22 miles an hour, something like that. 20, 21 into the wind. So yeah, we're working. I'm right entering zone 4 right now. This is when you want to make sure that you're not bogged down in your gear, because the pace is such that there are slight accelerations. Looking for the smoothest pavement here where possible. When we get out of that graded area, speeds are going to pick up. We're going to go on a descent in about 500 meters. Then it drops us down and it kicks back up into a long grade until we get to 149. This is the descent. I think I'll go on the right here. I don't want to brake. I'm doing about 58 kilometers an hour. That's what I saw there anyway. Like 33, 34 miles an hour. The road starts to go up here. So over here, you want to make sure you've saved something. So you got to be stingy with your efforts. It says 11 Celsius. It never felt like it was over 50 at any point during this ride. It feels like 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is more like 7 or 8 Celsius. So Jonathan pulls off. Laura is taking over. We're going into the wind. There's a gap here because Laura stays really low and she didn't back off on the power. So we'll go around Paul here. Paul's going to slip in on the wheel back there. In a little bit, I think the group will split. We're riding hard through here because this is wind and a slight grade. So throughout here, we're working. at the bottom of zone 4. I stay really close and just hold the rhythm. I think Laura's going to pull off the front in a little bit. I think Jonathan would take over. Because Jonathan's been pulling for a bit, so I don't know. He went back up there because there was a gap. He was trying to fill the gap. So Laura's pulled off. Jonathan takes over. The effort is high here. You can hear that wind. I'm staying on the right because the wind is blowing from the left on this stretch. It's kind of blustery. So Jonathan's pulled off. John takes over, and I just get close to his wheel. This is not the time to waste any energy, because before we get to the highway, the road's gonna kick up. You hear that wind? John's riding real smooth, but he's working. You can tell. He's putting his whole body into it. A bunch of little cracks in the road. You can pretty much see it. I'm sitting right on the little, in this quadrant, because the wind's coming from the front and the left. And I'm protected. You can see my wheel, my tire. So right here, Laura says the group has split. So we turn off the power. I'm gonna turn around to see where they are. I'll do a U-turn somewhere here. They're waiting right there at that road. Essentially, so the group has split in two, basically. So I turn around, and once I turn around, I can see them, and then I turn back around, because they're not that far. They kept riding, which is good. So we're gonna regroup here, and I'm gonna tell them they're here, let's go.
Okay, they're right here. Come on. They're right here. They're right here. Let's go.
This is a busier road, so even though the shoulder's narrow, we use it. Single file, speeds are higher. We're using it to get to Keenan cutoff. I'm not going to stay up here very long, as I know the cameras here is not that interesting to be at the front when I mount the camera, because all you see is the road. So as soon as I go up there a little bit, I'm going to go to the right and wave John by. Somewhere around here. I'm standing. You see that? You can see my wheel moving. So I've sat down. I'm gonna wave John by right here. There you go. John comes by. They come by. As soon as there's a gap, I'm gonna slip in. Right here. I just put it in a large gear and just kind of roll casually. We're going downhill on this stretch right here. Looks like they're burying cable on the right. That blue pipe you see, they're burying some wires. I'm not sure what kind of wires, but that's what they usually use. They run the wires inside those pipes. So I check my mirror. There's no car coming. I let them know we're going to be turning here on Keenan Cutoff. Now Mike's going to ask, is everybody's here? We say, yeah, everybody's here. We just keep going. This is Keenan Cutoff, heavily cycled route. The speeds are slower. We're not stopping. Yeah, well, I thought Jonathan thought we would stop. There's a store right there. Sometimes we stop.
Stop the Woodlands.
But we didn't need to stop. It's a cold day. We stopped at Taco twice.
Yeah, everybody's here.
And Mike is asking if everybody's here. That's confirmed. We'll go ahead and resume. There's a slight hiatus. We're right about 18 to 20 miles an hour. It's going to pick up in a little bit. It's a Flandrian day, and Mike was feeling good, so he just took some big pulls, and we just kind of went along for the ride. And then when we get in the neighborhood, Laura was feeling good, so she stretched her legs on one climb. Then Mike chased her down, and Chimpusan was on his wheel. I didn't feel like participating, so you'll see them ride away. And we end up catching back up before we came in on Honea-Egypt Road finally. So we're having unseasonably cold weather in our area. Should return to normal in a couple of days. By midweek, we're supposed to be back in our normal range.
Looking good, probably longer.
The road kicks up here a little bit. And if you want to keep the rhythm the same, you can shift up in a higher cog, stand, kind of roll your gear. The watts go up. Pace is picking up here. Got a nice tight group on this stretch. You can see I'm coasting. We're going slightly downhill here. It says -2. The speeds are going to pick up. So even though I'm coasting, I'm already in the proper gear. We're going to shift up through the gears as we continue to go downhill towards the Hills Parkway that takes us into the Grand Lake Estates area. In a little bit, there will be some kind of a gap, I think, occurring because I believe whoever's on Mike Berard's wheel will allow a gap to develop. I don't know if it's here or in the neighborhood. I think it's somewhere here. Probably as we get closer to the neighborhood. Yeah, this is the neighborhood here. Let's clear back. I drift out so I can keep my speed. See how much I caught up with them? They had to slow down. I didn't because I used the whole lane to carry my speed through. So Champoussin have been pulling, I think. I think it's somewhere here where Mike will go off the front. I'm going to end up on his wheel. I think I end up going with him or something. We're going into the wind here. We're working. At 46 kilometers an hour, we're moving. Like 27, 28 miles an hour. So Jonathan wants to do a rotating pace line, but we're not able to execute it. It's very windy, the pace is very high. So Laura pulls through. He wanted her to rotate to the left, which she did. I don't know, Paul was not aware they were doing that. So he doesn't pull through. And then Mike Barrera comes to the front. He said, I got you, Paul. So he's coming through. That's what So we just weren't on the same page. You know, it's just basically what it is here. The effort's very high. He wanted to do a rotating pace line to the left because the wind is blowing from the left and in our face. And we're not all aware of it. We're supposed to take short pulls and pull off. But the pace was too high and people weren't backing off. That's what I think anyway. And we're on that little bump. It was like a riser, the wind, it was just hard. So we just lined up. Laura's in front of Mike right now. So Laura's feeling good. She's doing good work into the wind. So Laura's pulled off, drifted to the back. The speeds are still high. 26, almost 27 miles an hour. This is a slight descent, and then I believe in a little bit it's going to curve. Yeah, this is time for the curve. The curves, and then maybe almost a kilometer and a half, then it kicks up with a short sprinter's bump. So Mike pulls off the front. Remember, Laura was pulling. Mike has pulled. He's pulled off the front. John is in front now. I'm in third position here. You can see the road goes up. Probably 3.5%. It's a short one. This is the rear entrance into the Grand Lake Estates coming up. I'm gonna roll to the keypad to get the code in there, but with my gloves, I end up messing up the code the first time. So I'm gonna go to the pad here.
Is he coming?
He said car back. I thought the car was gonna come, then I wouldn't have to enter a code.
Otherwise known as the neighborhood.
Yeah, everybody refers to this place as the neighborhood. When you say the neighborhood on this side of town, all the cyclists know you're talking about Grand Lake Estates.
There we go.
So you enter, and I think it's like a 3% climb here. They're talking about what they wanted to do back there. So right here, Laura's feeling good. So Laura stretches the pace a bit.
Every cook in Texas knows this code.
Laura's already in the distance. So by the time Mike Barrera sees that, he's going to jump and they're going to chase back. Because right now, nobody's really chasing. Laura's just riding off. Jonathan's looking at his computer or something over there. I don't know what he's doing, but anyway, I'm just riding. I don't really want to ride hard this moment. So Mike Barrera sees it and he lifts the pace. John's going to jump on his wheel. I'm just going to hold my position because I figure, okay, let me just stay where I am. I didn't really make a commitment to get on the wheel. Had I done that, I probably would have been better off. So I will end up staying here and riding back with Paul, Matt, and I believe, I don't know if Pedro is there. So right here, Mike Barrera is going to lift the pace even more when he realizes Laura is further along than he was aware. I just hold my pace and stay here with this group, with this part of the group. Right there, he's lifting it even more. They're finishing the climb. So Jonathan's going to try to get up to them. I'm not interested at this point. So I'm going to pull for a while, and I believe somebody will come around. We'll start rotating. Matt is here. Paul is here. And myself. I don't know if Pedro is with us. He was off the pace for a bit in here. So Paul goes through. That's Matt. Okay, this is Pedro. This is the other Pedro. There are two Pedros here. I sit on them and reach in my pocket, get a gel. I took a gel here. That's why the gap opened up. I'm dealing with my gel, and then I'm going to ride back up to them. So slight descent here. That was Linda's place. That's a dead-end little street into a cul-de-sac on the left. It levels off, then we're in the distance about a kilometer. We're going to turn left. Be heading east. It says 12C. It doesn't feel anything like 12C. Almost 53, 54 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels like 40, 46, 47, something like that. just stayed cold. My ears are still covered. And usually this late in the day is warmer than this. When we're in our normal operating temperature range for the area. So Paul checks. This corner is very visible. You can look over the fence and see if there's cars coming. It dead ends on the right. It's usually empty. So we turn. I move up through because I want to stay on the wheels. I'm saving my energy so I can get to the front and take some good cuts so we can ride back and keep those guys within range. So Matt pulls to the left. He's going through. I go ahead and get on his wheel. I'm maximizing the draft here by staying a little to Matt's right. So somewhere here I'm going to feel he's slowing down. I'm going to go around right there, yeah. So I do a time lapse here because I'm pulling and just looking at the road. I pulled for quite a bit, and I believe once I move to the left, probably the long guy is going to come around on my right about here, yeah. So I drift to the back again. Those guys are right over that hill. We could see them. I slip on the back here. It's a 3%, 3 to 3.5% bump. Paul pulls off. Pedro goes through. Clear. We're going through the intersection. It's on a hill anyway. About 2.5% bump. In a little bit, I think I'm going to move on the left and go and take the lead because we're slowing down, and I want us to kind of keep the impetus going. right here. We're just going slower and slower. So I move to the front. I'm going to motion to Pedro to get on my wheel because he tries to slow down right there. I told him, get on my wheel. So I don't know if he does or not. So this lifts the pace about 3 kilometers an hour. Then I'm going to pull off and then do a circle for them to come around or something. So I want us to kind of keep the speed going. Or somebody's going to come on my left. I don't remember. But right here, the pace is really good. I was like, this is a good pace. 22 miles an hour. Matt comes on the left. I'm staying in shelter right there. And Paul goes by. So I guess we're doing shorter pulls and so I just stay here. I don't see Pedro come through, so I just stay on this and fill this gap. The other Pedro is back there. He's really far off the pace. So our goal here is to get back to those guys. They usually wait at the gate there, and this time they were waiting. We're going to get back and go ahead and finish this ride on Honea-Egypt. Go back around because we're slowing down. To kind of get us through here. I downshift and spin up because this road's going up and we're battling the wind. Got to use your gears right to keep your legs fresh. We get to the gate, we see them waiting, and we just roll on. So come on, let's go. Come on, guys. So I keep my eye back there. I'm watching them. As soon as they get on my wheel, I'm going to lift the pace. Because I missed that move back there, but I was like, it's time to ride. So Mike comes around. I'm going to jump on his wheel immediately. And he's going to pull us in. He likes this road. If you look at my tire, I'm within a foot. I stay close because it's easy to follow Mike. It's smooth. I mean, he's dodging the imperfections in the road, so you'll see him move side to side, but that's normal. He's gliding more than anything. He's using his hips to avoid the obstacles and the patina. So you want to go fast, you need to learn how to do the proper workouts and be able to hold some sustained effort. You know, threshold work and so forth. We ride on the edge here to avoid all those ridges. I drift back a little bit so I can see the line. And then there's a lip where the old pavement meets the new right here. I just lift my front wheel a little bit. I'll ride back up to shelter. We're going as the wind's blowing, I believe, from the east. We're headed south right now, but we can feel it. This is not wind aided. We're working. My heart rate monitor at this point is totally off. I should be at least at the top of zone 2. It says 97 beats per minute. The strap was a little loose, I believe, so it was registering wrong. But I can tell by feel. Top of zone 2 into tempo. This is a tempo pace. We're moving about 25 miles an hour into the wind here, just rolling. And that's when you need to find a gear and get a rhythm. Then you can wind up, soft pedal without shifting. I'm probably riding a 5316 or 15 or something like that. So this hill that's coming in the distance is usually the one that kind of closes out the ride. It's at the end of the ride, and it's a nice little bump, a couple of 5% pitches, and then it levels off into like a 1.5%, 2% grind into town. Both of us are standing. You can see my tire moving. this is the part where it just drags on and it seems like forever. Because if you hit those two pitches at 5%, it stays between 1 and 2.5%. And if you didn't save something, you pay the price here. Right around here, it starts to level off. This is Honea-Egypt Community Road. That's what we started out with. We're closing it out. And that wind just started pushing us here. It's vicious, like we could feel it. But this part of the road is slightly downhill as it curves. I had to get closer right here to get shelter because mic is very low. So we split the filming to where we picked up the early part of the ride, and then we also filmed the wrap up of the ride so you can kind of get a feel for how we finish our rides. And we're back at Fishcreek Boulevard and Honea-Egypt Community Road.
Good ride, man. Good pull back there.
So this is the section where Mike refers to as the love ride. Turn the effort down. So we're gonna go up to the intersection there and do like a kind of a loop. Go to the opposing lane to go across this road. Because we're not going to be able to make a left turn. It's so busy. So we turn right, do a UE, and go across. So I don't know what you did on Saturday, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. Remember, get your K's in and keep all the doctors fired. So we turn over here. You will hear Matt say, "Oh, I finished with the group." I let everybody know because that's a blind corner there. We're gonna be careful. And we turn here, so we're gonna go across.